Hey Overflow family, I hope all is well with you. I'm just gonna go straight into the word. I was actually reading from Daniel chapter 2 and 3, and there was some stuff that stuck out to me that I'd really like to share with you. So I'm gonna just be kind of picking and choosing a couple of verses to say the whole story, convey my message rather. So in Daniel chapter 2 is where King Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, and he's not able to interpret it, and he's really annoyed, and he's so triggered that he can't interpret it. And so he calls like all of the magicians and the wise people of the land, and he was like, guys, tell me what this dream means. And of course they're too like, bro, we don't know. So someone was like, hey, Daniel's a dream interpreter, why don't we call him? So King was like, fine, bring him on. So when Daniel is brought to the king is like, hey, you are the one that interprets all the dreams. Tell me what my dream's about. First of all, right then and there, Daniel stops and he's like, actually, no, I'm just a vessel. Like, he kind of says, there's a God in the heavens. In verse 27, he's like, no wise men or no magician or no one can interpret dreams, but there is a God in heaven who reveals the mysteries. So it's from him. So in that moment he's giving God the glory, and he's like, because King Nebuchadnezzar is like, oh, Daniel, you're the one that interprets the dreams, and Daniel's like, no, I'm just a vessel. God in heaven is the one that does it. But anyway, so he's able to interpret, and he gives a really good interpretation, and the king is so pleased with him, and the king gives him stuff, and then actually even appoints him as the king promoted Daniel and gave him generous gifts and made him the ruler over the entire province of Babylon and chief governor over the wise men of Babylon. So the king is like really impressed by him and gave him a lot of gifts, and then even gave him this great position. And here in verse 26 it says, even after that, Daniel has just given God the glory, and it says King Nebuchadnezzar fell face down and worshipped Daniel. So that's one of the things that stood out to me. Is like, bro, like, Daniel's out here trying to get literally the praise that you're giving Daniel, he's trying to put it back to God, but then you're here again worshiping Daniel. But anyway, that was just something that stood out to me, but that's not what I wanted to focus on. So right after he worships Daniel, a couple of verses down, it says, the king said to Daniel, your God is indeed the God of gods, the Lord of kings, and the revealer of mysteries, since you were able to reveal this mystery. So the king himself says, after all this happens, the king admits, like, yeah, your God is the God of gods. Your God is the King of kings that has, so, at this moment, he's accepting all that. Literally, the next chapter is where King Nebuchadnezzar goes and makes a statue of himself and says, every person in this land has to worship me. Like, and you know what? I was like, I don't really know why this stands out to me, or why God was bringing my attention to these couple of chapters or these couple of verses. And I just kind of felt God say, like, a lot of times we give God the glory, and after things happen our way, we kind of go back to worshiping ourselves. And I was like, oh, that is so true, God. That is so true. Like, if I'm going through something, like, oh, God, you're everything. I'll just tell me what to do. I'll do it. Pray, sure. Fast, sure. Go to church, sure. Attend like 10 more Bible studies, sure. But the minute I'm out of an issue, or like the minute I get an answer, I just go back to, okay, do I really have to pray right now? Like, even in those decisions, I'm worshiping myself. I'm worshiping my procrastination. I'm worshiping my flesh, basically. I can spend hours taking selfies and hours doing other stupid, pointless things, but I cannot read the word, or I cannot worship God for that much hours. It's crazy. Like, we can all, probably most of us, can just binge watch TV and just shop for hours. But bro, praying, what? Unless I really have a need, like, don't catch me doing that, right? So I was like, God, that is so true. Like, when we need something, we're so like, oh yes, Jesus, you're everything to me. But the minute that's over, we're back to our idolatry. We're just worshiping ourselves, we're worshiping media, we're worshiping our parent, like even sometimes just family, you know, worship, like everything else becomes priority but God, you know. So it was just something that tugged on my heart, and I hope you can relate to it. Like that's really crazy to me how, like, you know, you yourself with your mouth accepted that God was the God of gods. Like Daniel's God was the God of gods, and then you go on to say everybody worship me. Like, that is us. But you know, it frustrated me when I read this because I was like, wow. But then I'm like, dang, Michelle, that's literally how you are in your life and you just don't even realize. So I really just encourage you guys to, you know, to kind of take some time today even to just go into a mode of worship and just be like, God, teach me to prioritize you. Like, you being everything that I do, teach me to do that. Like, God is the best teacher there is. You teach me what it means to worship you 24. Teach me what it means to live a lifestyle of worship. Teach me what it means to prioritize you at all times. Teach me not to be an idol to myself. Let me not be what I worship. Like, everything that is not God that I worship, teach me to lay it down. Let me not be like this king that admits that you're God and the next minute goes out to make a statue of himself and says, everybody worship me. So I really hope that encourages you. It was just something that caught me off guard. Like, I've never read these scriptures like that, so I was like, dang, that is wow. That just kind of blew my mind, so I just wanted to share that. I hope you guys have a good rest of the week and stay safe.